Hi, and thanks so much for joining me. Today we are talking about these two new Guerlain products. If you'd like to see that, please keep watching. I recently picked these two items up. I've got a contrast shadow duo. There is a matte side and an iridescent side. And I also picked up this eyeliner. It's a felt tip precision eyeliner. I'll go ahead and apply them, give you my thoughts, and also do a little recap at the end. I have on foundation, concealer, eyebrows, one eye. I also have on the Chanel bronzer. Someone wanted to see it without blush, so I don't have blush yet. I haven't powdered yet, but I will be finished off with Chantecaille as well as Sisley half and half. I'll be filming that video right after this, so if you're not subscribed already and you want to see it, that's coming up very soon. Maybe not the next video, but the next one after that. Let's go in with this stick. I'm going to start with the shimmery side first, which is what they recommend on their website. I've kind of played around with this a little bit, so I can give you some more information, but I just want you to see what this looks like all by itself. This is the iridescent side. So it's really smooth going on. You can see the shimmer is not that bold in terms of some of the other eyeshadow sticks I've tried before. The shimmer here is much more refined than that. It's also a thinner consistency, very easy gliding on, so you can go in with this. So they recommend that. They also talk about going in the waterline with this, which I'm going to do with this side, the matte side, which is the warm brown. So we're gonna go right in the waterline. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, the reason why I started with one eye done is because I saw the Pat McGrath masterclass. I really liked it because you could see the context for what was happening on the application side. You could see which steps really made the biggest difference as well. So it kind of pointed out why those little kind of like inconsequential looking steps were very important. I also had one of you message me on Instagram to let me know that you'd like to see one eye complete versus one eye incomplete. So we're trying that today. Thank you for the suggestion. But yeah, as a viewer, I really liked watching someone apply makeup, knowing what it was going to look like at the end. So we're just gonna go, like I said, in the waterline. So one thing about this is that it dries really quickly. You have about 10 to 15 seconds to play with this before it dries down. So that's not much time at all. So if you want to go in and smudge, go in right away. I applied this one hours ago. I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 hours ago. If you try to apply on top, it will impact it. So just make sure that your initial application is what you're going to go with because it's really hard to correct this one. It does go on really beautifully though, and it stays in place. So you can do something like this. I'm going to take the iridescent side and just also go in the waterline, but I'm going to go about 5/6 of the way. I'm not going to go all the way. I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to go all the way in though. So the reason I put the deeper shade on first is to kind of define that and make a base for this shimmery side. I think it gives a little bit more definition, especially along the lash line. I'm also going to take this and do a very precise kind of highlighting. Now I would have liked this to be a little bit lighter, but this still catches the light. So you can do that really easily with a stick like this. Yeah, you can go in and be very intentional about this instead of just putting like a spotlight of highlight there. Pat McGrath talked about that as well. Just being very, very precise right here. So you could go like this, add mascara, and be good to go, but I'm going to go ahead and just intensify a little bit more. So I'm going to take that matte side again, and I'm going to build here just about halfway. I'm going to go in an outward motion, outward, upward. I'm just following this line and up into this direction. So you can kind of see what I did here, and I'm going to make kind of like a wing type shape, but I am going to go in with that liquid liner in a moment. So I just want to kind of put a little bit of depth here. So again, working quickly because before you know it, this is going to set. So if you do want to do things like building this up, it's easier to do that with some other eyeshadow sticks. I think this was created to be a very fast kind of application. I mean, you don't really have a choice. It kind of just, it sets whether you like it or not. I also noticed when you leave the cap off, it can kind of dry the surface, the most outward surface of this. So I've had a paper towel nearby and just kind of drawn on it to get that excess layer off, and then it's just like new again. So just know if you leave that cap off, it will start to dry. Let's go in with the liquid liner. We will return with the crayon in a little bit, but right now I just want to go right on the lash line. And if you saw, again, that Pat McGrath masterclass, I talked about liquid liner and how to use it, which is actually how I use it. And I think I have something on my nose, which is to just lay it along the lash line. So instead of trying to draw like this, like going in, that's almost impossible to do really well, unless you have a very steady hand, is to just go in and lay it on the lashes. So I'm going like this, and I'm going in as far as possible. So actually when I deepen this part of my eyes, I notice it looks more elongated. So I try to emphasize that. So we're gonna go all the way in as far as possible. So I'm not even really moving. I'm not really pulling it or dragging it. I'm just kind of stamping it. Still takes a steady hand. Okay, and then I'm going to quickly go in and smudge. I like all of my eyeliners, whether it's liquid liner or just a regular liner, to be softened on the edges. This one, you have even less time. Yeah, there's less time to manipulate this. Yeah, there's less time to manipulate this than there is to manipulate the eyeshadow crayons. So this one sets even faster. But you can see I like liquid liners for the purpose of defining the eye without actually really seeing the eyeliner. And I think you can do that really well with a liquid liner. Actually, that's one of the advantages of liquid liner. And liquid liner is very intense because it fills in everything. I will use it like this and put another eyeliner on top, say something lighter, and it just intensifies it. So I do like the definition that a liquid liner provides. We're next going to make a wing, which is not something I normally do, but we're going to do it with this because they talk about it, and I wanted to kind of just show you what is good about this and what was challenging. So I'm going to make a wing, one-handed here. And then, so because my eye right here, the high point, is so far away from this point, the triangle is very large here, so that's what's tricky. So it depends on your eye shape. So my triangle is like at minimum this large. So I have all this space to fill in. This is a little bit difficult because it doesn't splay out like a calligraphy liner does. Okay, so it's hard to fill it in with this, but because I've got to take like this very narrow kind of end and just fill it in. Now what's nice about this is I want to build this triangle up a little bit more, and so I can be very exact with where I place it and just build it up slowly. So when it's a little bit more flexible, it's harder to do that for me. Okay, I just wanted to show you that in case you were interested in the liquid liner for the purpose of making a wing. You can be very, very precise with this one. Let's go in with the crayon again. I'll show you what I did over on this side in order to get there. So I'm going to take, again, the matte side, and I like to soften this just to kind of blend that edge in. I'm just dotting it on there. This gets a little tricky in here. And this is not the best for smudging because it can get a little bit patchy when you do that. So just know if you start to get into this, trying to smudge it out, then you might get into some patchiness. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's not consistent. That may be user error, but in my experience, I've applied this maybe about 5 or 6 times already. So in the many times I've applied it, yeah, it just has not been consistent. Sometimes it looks good and you're able to blend it out really nicely, and sometimes it doesn't. Also, when you go in and add another layer, sometimes it can bunch up a little bit. So just be aware. I really feel like this was made for quick application. It's like less is more with this one. We're gonna take the iridescent side now and just kind of keep blending that in. So I'm gonna go over this part again and then just kind of meld these two together. So we're a little bit more, just so we come together a little bit. This is the Noir Intense, by the way, very nice black eyeliner. There might be a little bit more, I think I added a little bit more here. So one thing I did try is I tried putting this on my, not that one. I tried taking some of this on my hand, the brown like this, and then taking my finger and then just trying to deepen it. If you want to do that, I think this is a better way than going in directly with a pencil in this crease area, because it just is a little bit too unpredictable to go in directly with a pencil. Okay, and then I'm going to go in though with this side, the iridescent side. That one's not as much of a challenge. So I'm just gonna go over that with the iridescent a little bit, just to try and match this other side. Yeah, you run the risk of getting a little bit gummy here. If you add too many layers, the material can kind of bunch up a little bit. One of the things though I really do like is if you do need to just concentrate in one area, you can just kind of bounce it up and down in that one area, like right here. I just need it concentrated. And I get that more from eyeshadow sticks, the ability to do that, versus a powder. Powder kind of can get a little bit bigger than I want it to be, so this is nice. I'll just go ahead and finish up with mascara. These were released with a couple of other products, including a mascara and a brow gel. The Contrast Shadow Duo is available in a couple of other shades, including there's like a plummy coppery combo and then a grayish toned. I like this one though, even though I feel like it comes across as a little bit gray, less brown and more gray. But it definitely pulls more taupey in terms of the shimmery color. Then the brown says warm brown, but it's not as warm as some other browns that I've used. What I like about this is that it's a thinner consistency. Some cream shadow sticks can be a little bit thick. So this one's nice and thin and even going on. It glides on. It stays really well in the waterline, especially that iridescent color. So you know how I use the Laura Mercier in copper? That is beautiful. This one does the same thing, except it's not as evident. The copper shade in Laura Mercier is very, like, it really catches the light, you really notice it. This one's a little more subtle. So the iridescent shade on this goes on really smoothly, has very fine shimmer in it. It's more refined than some of the other shimmery eyeshadow sticks that I've tried in the past, including the By Terry Ombre Black Star. That shimmer is more evident than the shimmer in here. So if you've tried that and it was a little bit too much for you, you might like this one. The only thing is you have to work quickly. There is not much time to really smudge it out. So that was what was kind of hard about this one. It was hit and miss with if it smudged out evenly or not. It was a little bit temperamental, but wiping off the end of the crayon before you go in helps because it's a little less dry to begin with that way. You've got about 10-15 seconds max. So once you put it on, go ahead and smudge it out, and then that's it. So if you try and go in after, once it's set, what I noticed is it will kind of lift. So it's one of those things where it's better to go in quickly, get it in the position you want it in, and then don't touch it until you want to remove it. So in terms of it staying though, I was swimming with this and I have goggles, and the first set of goggles that I had, it wasn't sealing properly because I think my cheekbones stuck out too much here. Since then, my husband's got me some really nice ones, but the first ones were letting in water, so it was actually filling up the entire goggle with water. So it was like little aquariums for my eyes. So these were very submerged in the water, and when I came out, it was in place, nothing had moved. But it is something I would pull for every day. It's just so easy to use. Just don't get too complicated with it because it won't really allow for that. I just ran into some issues with it where I was actually removing. That's why I didn't go too high with this, because once I started getting into this area where I needed it to be a little bit more finessed, it wasn't able to do that. So just know that it's pretty much the solid form of what you get. So pretty much just know that you're gonna go in with that solid form, maybe smudge it out slightly on the edges, but if you start to push it around too much, it'll get kind of bunchy and uneven. But if you use it for what I think they intended it for, which is a quick application, something that's gonna stay there for a long time, then they did it really well. Let's talk about the liner. I really like a liquid liner just to do what you saw me do with it. Just lay it on the lash line, intensify that lash line, and then soften it either by smudging it or going in with another pencil that's going to kind of blend it together. I did that with a crayon too. I blended it in as well. So this is one of those things that I miss when I don't have it, not for the wing, but just to intensify that lash line. I think it does a really, really nice job. And that's it for today's video. So please take care of each other, stay well. And if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks.